Hey everybody, it's Andrew back again with another video, and today we have a convertible laptop, 16-inch to be specific, that won't break the bank, but doesn't skimp on too many features. Yes, I'm talking about the Dell Inspiron 167635 2-in-1 here for 2023. And at $650 currently over Dell's website, this thing is pretty amazing in terms of the price to performance ratio. It's running the AMD Ryzen processor. It's got a 16-inch display. It's got a full HD plus resolution. It's got a nice build quality. It's got a beautiful deep river blue color that I absolutely am loving. And of course, it's convertible, so it gives it a lot of versatility using it in the different modes. It's got pen support and a host of other features. But the best of all, like I said, it won't break the bank. We're going to get into why I think this might be a great value for a student, for an average consumer, or for the price-conscious consumer that just doesn't want to pay too much for a convertible laptop. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the Dell Inspiron 167635 2-in-1 here for 2023. Coming up. Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Dell. I'm not being sponsored by Dell. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Dell is not getting copy approval. That means you're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from Dell, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Pricing starts at $649.99. That's an excellent price. Gets you a lot of price to performance ratio. Ryzen 5 7580U, but you can get it with the Ryzen 7. You get 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of SSD storage. And again, $649.99. That's a great price here. For those interested, I'll leave a link in the description below for more information, and we can buy one. And with the specs and pricing out of the way, let's find out what you get inside the box. You get your power cord along with a 65-watt USB Type-C power adapter. You get some documentation, including warranty information as well. Holding the unit for the first time, the first thing that strikes me is that deep river blue color. It's a really nice finish. This is an all-metal design, and the build quality seems very good. Now look, $649.99, I'm not expecting it to be a super premium build quality, but it's a very good build quality for this price point. There's no doubt about it. I didn't see too much flex or give in the chassis. Now for the unit alone, you're looking at 2.025 kilograms or 4.464 pounds. And with the power cord and power charger, you're looking at 2.316 kilograms or 5.105 pounds. Now, Dell sent over the 14-inch 2-in-1 as well, so we can get a comparison of the two. They're both running the same processor. There are some differences between the two, and one of them, of course, as you can see here, is the color, the 14-inch in the silver, whereas we have the deep river blue on the 16-inch. Both look really nice. I think the silver will show a little bit less fingerprints, although not a big problem on the blue color, so just keep that in mind. Okay, let's check out the port selection. On the left side is an HDMI 1.4 port. Next to that is a USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 1 port, and you get two USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 ports that support power delivery and display port out. Moving over to the right side, you get a full-size SD card reader, a USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 1 port, and finally a 3.5mm microphone headphone combo jack. I would say all in all, a really good port selection here. Now, Dell makes it pretty easy to get inside this laptop. There are 9 Phillips head screws. The first 3 on the top are captive. The rest are removable. Remove those, pop off the bottom plate with a guitar pick or a pry tool. Take your time around the edges. It's pretty easy. It pops off. And once you do that, you're in. Now, once inside, you'll notice that single fan for cooling. We'll get into the thermal performance later on in this review. And you'll notice that 4-cell 64 watt-hour battery. We'll get into the battery life later on as well. And if you could probably guess, yes, it has pretty phenomenal battery life. We'll talk about that very soon. Now, inside here, you can see that the RAM, unfortunately, is soldered into the motherboard. It's not upgradable by the user, but my review unit has 16 gigabytes of LP DDR4X RAM, and it's 4266 running in dual channel mode. Now, the SSD is user replaceable. They're going with 2230 form factor here. It's a smaller form factor SSD, and as you can see from these reads and writes, the 512 gigabyte SSD included with my review unit has pretty typical speeds for that form factor SSD 2230. Now, when it comes to the wireless, you're looking at MediaTek Wi-Fi 6E Bluetooth combo card. Now, the good news is that's slotted in, not soldered in, so if you need to change it out down the road, you have that option. Now, both the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth are working flawlessly. I've had no issues. Interesting, they went with MediaTek as opposed to Intel or anything else, but that's what we get here. But both are working okay. Okay, let's talk about the display, and we're looking at a 16-inch display with a Full HD Plus resolution that's 1920 by 1200. And yes, that is a 16:10 aspect ratio. It has 60 hertz as far as refresh rate. It's a WVA display with a touch layer, and it has a peak brightness, according to Dell, of 300 nits, although I measured 278 nits. I'd like to see it above 300 nits. I'd like to see it above 400 nits, to be honest, but at $650 or so, I can't really ding them too hard here. Now, as far as the coverage of the color gamut, you're looking at 100% sRGB, 73% Adobe RGB, 73% of the DCI P3 wide color gamut, and 67% NTSC, making this a decent choice, not a great choice, for content creators doing Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, and of course, color grading. It also has a 1.91 Delta E score, meaning that is pretty much a color accurate display. So that's good in that regard. It's also a good media consumption device. Watching Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, and the like has been very good on this panel, although it is a 16:10 aspect ratio. So if you're going to watch any kind of movie or any media designed for a 16:9, you will notice slight black bars on the top and the bottom. Not a big deal, but I wanted to point that out. And this being a 2-in-1 convertible means you could put it into the different modes. You got the tent mode, which is great for recipes in the kitchen, consuming media, watching Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube. It all worked well. The same could be said for the stand mode, or what I like to call presentation mode. Great for giving a PowerPoint presentation and the like in a group meeting and so forth. And of course, you can always put it into the tablet mode. Great for use with the pen, although a 16-inch convertible laptop doesn't make for the greatest tablet, as it can get pretty heavy, so you might want to use it on a table or a desk. Now, it does have pen support. They didn't send over a pen, but I have plenty of pens that do support this device, and it's good for taking notes, sketching out artwork, diagrams, and the like. It all worked pretty well. And the touch layer worked very well, very responsive, great for navigating the OS with your finger, pinch to zoom, everything worked well.
And so this is the camera on the Inspiron 16-76-35 2-in-1 here for 2023, a full HD camera that of course is shooting 1080p video, 30 frames per second. Now there is a physical shutter switch on the camera that allows you to turn off the camera for more security and privacy. One thing to note, it is not an IR camera, no face recognition with Windows Hello, but there is a fingerprint scanner located on the keyboard. The power button doubles as that fingerprint scanner. Worked well, setup was easy, registering my finger each and every time I've used it. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of these mics? Let me know in that comment section below.
Okay, let's talk about performance, and this is running the AMD Ryzen 5 7530U, a 6-core, 12-thread processor from AMD with integrated Radeon graphics. Now, this is based on the Zen 3 architecture, not the Zen 4, just keep that in mind. And as you can see from these benchmark results, decent performance for doing everyday tasks such as Microsoft Office, email, web browsing. It all worked well. Seeing good single and multi-core performance, although not groundbreaking performance, so temper your expectations, and at this price point, certainly good enough for what you need this laptop convertible to do. Now, when it comes to gaming, a little bit of a mixed bag here. Of course, there's not a discrete graphics on here. They're using the integrated Radeon graphics, which are usually pretty good. And if you lower some of the settings, you can get some playable frame rates. But when you're playing like titles such as Cyberpunk 2077, you're going to have some issues here. Again, not the best graphics performance here. Didn't get very playable frame rates on that title. So it just depends which title you go with and the settings you choose. And when I ran the TimeSpy stress test to see if this will thermal throttle under heavy load, it got a score of 94.1%, meaning it detected a little bit of thermal throttling, but not bad at all. Remember, 97% means it will get a passing score. So very little thermal throttling detected, and that's good. And good news when it comes to the surface temperatures, as you can see here, staying relatively cool throughout, even under heavy load, as I'm running some tests here, never getting above 43 degrees Celsius or so on the underside, and where the heating vent is on the back, 42 degrees Celsius, remaining relatively cool. And that's good, of course. And when it comes to the fan noise, reaching as high as 48 decibels, under heavy load in the ultra performance mode, but when you're in the balance mode, not much of an issue in terms of distracting fan noise. Okay, let's talk about battery, and this sports a 4-cell 64 watt-hour battery, which is a lot smaller than the Dell Inspiron 7620 2-in-1's battery, which was 87 watt-hours, but yet it managed to get 14 hours and 39 minutes on the PC Mark 10 Modern Office battery test. Very similar result to what we got on its Intel counterpart from last year. That's very impressive, especially with a smaller battery. And it did nearly 15 hours on the video playback test, which outlasted last year's model by a few minutes, but very impressive battery results. So if you're looking for a convertible laptop with longevity, this certainly checks that box. Now, for those wondering, you can't quite open this up with one finger. Usually 2-in-1s have a difficult time with that due to the hinge being 360 and so forth. But I didn't notice too much screen wobble, a little bit detected when I was typing, but not very much, which plagues a lot of 2-in-1 convertibles, especially at this price point. So that's been pretty good. Now, as far as the keyboard is concerned, I liked it. It's not my favorite keyboard altogether, but it is definitely a good usable keyboard for long documents, typing out emails and so forth. It has actually worked out really well. It does have a multi-stage backlight that allows you to get work done in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. That worked okay as well. And it has a pretty spacious precision touchpad that I thought worked well when it comes to scrolling, doing all the gestures. Everything seemed to work as you'd expect with it. A nice implementation here. It's a traditional style touchpad. It's not haptic or anything. And at this price point, I'm not expecting anything like that. But it worked well to get the job done. Good touchpad implementation here. Now, as far as the audio is concerned, you're looking at 2 top-firing speakers and 2 downward-firing speakers for pretty nice sound at this price point, $650. You're not expecting great sound. It actually sounds really good in terms of the volume, the mids, the bass. Altogether, pretty nice. Now, let's give it a listen. All right, let's wrap it all up. What do I think about the Dell Inspiron 167635 2-in-1 here for 2023? There's a lot to like, but I think the overall takeaway is there's going to be a lot of bang for the buck, a great price to performance ratio, good display for the price point. It's relatively inexpensive, plenty of ports, amazing battery life. The things I'm not so crazy about, the RAM is no longer upgradable. The display could be brighter. I'd like to see it above 400 nits. We're not going to get it here at this price point. Zen 3, not Zen 4 architecture here, so just keep that in mind. And its Intel counterpart has a bigger battery, but despite that, we're seeing pretty amazing results when it comes to that battery life, despite the fact that it does have a smaller battery. That's impressive. But my overall takeaway is if you're on a budget, you don't want to break the bank, and you want a 2-in-1 convertible that doesn't skimp on screen real estate, the Inspiron 16 2-in-1 here for 2023, running that AMD Ryzen processor certainly fits the bill, and it won't break the bank. And I think you got to like what that brings to the table here for 2023. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and the platform formerly known as Twitter. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.